All right, here we go. I had a false start there. I'm not sure what happened, so sorry for the delay. But here we go. We're going to talk revival tonight. I'm gonna give some information to you about how you can become personally prepared for a mega outpouring of God, for a revival, for a move of God in the end times here, and this is for those of you that live anywhere around the world. This is for those of you that are here in Detroit. And, you know, I absolutely refuse to apologize for raising the bar extremely high. And simply because that's how high the biblical bar is. It's a great thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a sad thing. It's an amazing thing to be able to go strong and to encounter God in such a way where he holds us accountable and he calls us higher, and it's joyous, it's glorious. But I'll say it like this. I'm ready to see churches that are lukewarm just come to an end. Let's just, let's shut these things down. I mean, what's the point? In fact, churches that are lukewarm are doing a whole lot more damage than they are good. And, and I'm even talking about quote unquote spirit-filled churches. Have you ever, and I'm a fan of the church. If you're listening to me, you know that I am the first to tell you, never run away from your church, never leave your church because you're frustrated or because it's lukewarm or tepid or there's struggles or issues. Read my book, Covens in the Church. Here's a shameless plug. Covens in the Church. Read this book, and you will learn about what it is to stay in position, to submit to authority and all that. So please hear me. I'm absolutely not calling for a revolt. I'm not calling for a coup. I'm calling for calibration. I'm calling for reformation. But that being said, pastors, if your church is not burning white hot, consider leading your people into a place of encounter. Consider eliminating everything that threatens a white hot environment, because how about we can find churches all over the place where we walk in and the glory of God is so intense and you feel the presence of God and you don't want to leave and you tremble as he moves on you, and how about that? And well, the way that happens is we have to raise the bar. We have to raise the bar to a biblical level. And we have to call people up higher. The church in America is so famous for just dropping the bar to that medium range where people, where kind of anybody can just kind of cruise on in, whether they're hot for God, cold for God, middle of the range. And boy, that's a dangerous thing, man. We need to be okay with people wrestling with their own spirituality. And we need to be okay with creating a white-hot environment. As I've said many, many times, I refuse to tone down the activity of the Holy Spirit out of respect of those less hungry. And so the call is to be wildly hot. So what we're doing here in Detroit is we're calling people together to very intentionally take dominion over their schedules, very intentionally determine that ministry and God's activity in their lives and the movement of revival and all of this is an extreme priority. So the way we're doing this is I'm challenging. It shouldn't be a challenge. It should be a simple encouragement as we take dominion over the cares of life. But I'm challenging everybody to block out every single week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night. Fridays, that's like 10 hours a week. It's not that much. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday nights. And we gather together and we go hard after God. And so you can participate locally, easily. Jump on board with us at the Detroit Prayer Furnace. Or if you're remote, you can participate on Saturday nights, Sunday nights, and Monday nights. All three of those nights, Saturday and Monday right now, are streamed via audio. And then Sundays, when they begin on March 9th, they will also be streamed. Okay, and so you can participate as well. But we'll have to cancel a lot of things. We'll have to cancel television and family events and all sorts of things. And we'll have to get serious about this revival thing because people are going to hell. Revival is not near, right? Things are not kicking, and we need to change our plans. We need to change our strategy. We need to go hard after this, and we need to see revival kick in our own lives. And I guarantee you gather together with burning people that are raging, they're raging furnaces of intercession, and you gather together with them 4 nights in a row. I'm telling you, your entire life, your future, your destiny, your eternity, everything will change unbelievably. You will be a shock to your culture, but you have to have the guts to actually do this. You have to have the urgency in your spirit to be able to do this. Okay, I'm gonna talk tonight just a little bit about my book, 20 Elements of Revival. We're going to be studying through that book, starting on Sunday. We're adding a service. Sunday, March 9th at 7 o'clock. And so we're going to start the night with fiery prayer. And then I'm going to kick in to teaching through each one of the 20 elements of revival. And we're going to get equipped as revivalists. Now, before we get into this, most of you are watching this at thefurnace.tv/live right there on my website. Some of you are watching directly on YouTube. But if you're on my website, you'll notice there's a new chat room over on the this way, over on that side, right next to it. And so you can use the chat room, and I'm watching that, and you can throw stuff out there. If you have something that's specific only to me, because everyone will see what you put in the chat room, specific only to me, you can send me an email, and you can send it right here live at thefurnace.tv, and you can email questions, comments, and I'll address those live if I get them in time. So shoot those to me and let me know what you think. But certainly use the chat room, and we'll see if people. I just installed that about half an hour ago, so we'll see if people jump on board with that. Okay, let's look at this 20 elements of revival. First of all, you've heard me say time and again that there's over 19,000 cities in the nation, and not one of them is experiencing the biblical normalcy of revival. Not one city. Okay? I always qualify it by saying there are pockets of Holy Spirit activity. There are great things going on. There are men and women of God that are leading well. There are people that are praying. There's all of that kind of stuff that's going on. But on a city level, there's no revival. And in my book, 20 Elements of Revival, I hit on that. And it begs the question, what in the world are we doing wrong? And so now just stop and think about this at a very low level. Go to any city in the nation, walk into most any church in the nation, any Protestant church, and the core structure is going to be almost identical. Okay, this is the structure that's broken. We arrive, we say hi to folks, we hear a few songs, raise our hands in worship, listen to announcements, hear a message, maybe go to the altar if it's a decent church, and then go home. And most messages are geared toward just giving people nuggets of truth just to help them kind of get through the week. Okay, that's the typical church experience. And of course, within that construct, there's a whole lot of diversity, but that's basically it. What you don't see in almost any church in the nation is prayer being the driver, the primary focus, for example, of a Sunday service. You really don't see that. You'll see people saying prayers. You'll have people maybe even being prayed for. You'll pray over the offering. You'll pray at the beginning, at the end of the service. So there's prayers, But it's like prayers they're always brackets with the main content in between. And that's the problem. Prayer was never meant to be a bracket. Prayer was meant to be the content. Prayer was meant to be the main thing. And so, do we have the guts to stop most everything and shift things up and mix things up and to have prayer become the main thing in our services again? I mean, the main thing. Because the reason why it's so tough is most pastors really don't pray. Most people don't pray. And so what happens when you take away the kind of the buffet where the people kind of just pick and choose what they want, and you just serve them like broccoli, prayer being the broccoli. So now they've got broccoli and they don't want broccoli. And I like broccoli. I like it with French onion dressing. Ella loves broccoli, believe it or not. Broccoli. Skylar, however, told me yesterday he's never in his life tasted broccoli. He's almost 16 years old. And it's pretty sad. And so prayer's the broccoli. So most people don't want that. And so what happens? They're not going to come back. So what you're left with is a small church of praying people instead of a larger church of tepid people. Well, that's what we need. We're in a wheat and a tare season, and we need those who are not vigilant in the place of prayer and intercession to lead the charge again in the churches. And those that are not going to do that, I will encourage them. I do encourage them to leave the church and go become a scout leader, or join my wife's on this thing, meetups.com. You can meet up with, they're like affinity groups. So she has one, she started one, Christ-centered parenting or something like that. So, go to meetups.com instead of going to church, and find some affinity group, around, join a book club, something like that. And, and leave the church for those who are going to pray, because the church is a house of prayer. It's not a house of teaching and evangelism and relationships and all that. It's a house of prayer. And so we need to come together and pray. If we don't see the church return to a house of prayer, then we simply won't see revival. And if we do see some sort of a drop from heaven, because God can do that if he wants to, it absolutely won't last. It just won't last. And so, are we going to have the guts to fix our 0 for 19,000 streak, cancel life, stop being so drunk on entertainment and drunk on relaxation, and pay the price to get in our car, drive, to our church, whether it's our church at the Detroit Prayer Furnace, or it's your church in your city, and go there and gather together with other people most nights every week. I've referenced this Chinese church. I've got to find this clip again. One of these days I'll play it for you guys. But it was a Chinese church attendee, and he says he gets up every morning, because they were interviewing what's fueling the explosive growth of the Chinese church. He says he gets up every morning before work at 4:30 in the morning, and he doesn't kneel by his bedside and pray. He gets in his car or walks. I don't know how he gets there. He goes to the church and he gathers together with other believers and prays with them every morning. And so are we gonna fix this problem? This pursuit of revival, it's an intentional, long-term process. And it's very important that we buy into the idea of process. Biblically, we see lots of process. We won't just have a great meeting and a healing or two and have citywide revival. The process is huge. Time and energy and growing and persecution and relationship strains and difficulties and all of these kinds of things are part of the process that is unto revival. My guess is that if we saw a significant number of Christians, for example, in the Detroit region, gathering together most every night of the week in fervent prayer, that we could see an outpouring within 12 months. I believe that's possible. I mean, it's even then it's tight. If we were really diligent and we had a mass of people that were praying every single night and embracing holiness and living a life of consecration and these types of things, my guess is that in about 2 years or so, that we could actually expect a move of God. We could expect an outpouring. I think it's it's kind of a pipe dream, thinking that revival is going to break out at the low level that we have today. Today, Christians are seeing R-rated movies and PG-13 movies that have cussing and sexual situations, and they're watching things on TV they shouldn't, and they're doing all of that in place of gathering together in the place of prayer, and there's a lot that live that way. Now, of course, there's some amazing people out there, like I said before, that are burning hot and they're ready to rock and they're praying hard, and there's a remnant out there, but they're few and far between. And add to that, there's theologies. We were talking about this last night at the furnace. There's theologies out there that actually teach against prayer. And let me talk about this for just a moment. There's these. We were talking about end times and different eschatologies, and one of the I don't know if it's a movement. One of the activities that's really, really popular out there nowadays, and I actually enjoy it myself to a degree, is soaking. Is soaking, right? Just soaking in God's presence, and which to a degree that's great. I do it all the time, actually. I enjoy God. I talk to God. I engage Him and worship Him, and and I'll lay on my face, and I mean that's legit. That's really good to do. But the problem is when that replaces intercession, because that's really not intercession. I mean it's ministry to God. Yes, that's powerful, but there's a huge additional element that's actually quite different than soaking. And so don't ever fall in the trap thinking that just because you're living this life of soaking in His presence all the time, that you are somehow like fulfilling your obligation to as an intercessor and as a revivalist and as an end time man or woman of God. It just isn't the case. Soaking it's kind of where we're playing catch up. It's like, okay, I did a lot of hard work. I did a lot of hard intercession. I've been plowing through life. Now I just I want to soak with Jesus. And that is, again, that's legit. It's good and it's important to do that. But that is not the complete picture at all. We won't see revival launched through a soaking movement, okay? Because that's not intercession. There's more, right? And so when we get to a place when we feel the heart of God and we're breaking and we're declaring and we're decreeing and we're speaking the oracles of God and we're coming into agreement with Him, and that's intercession. In the end times, we're actually going to be, the church is going to be releasing the wrath of God, which is intercession, believe it or not. Intercession is where we're standing in agreement with the Lord, and we're trusting His wisdom, and we're as prophetic messengers, we're declaring His word, right? And of course, you always you think of Abraham, and are there not 10 righteous? Well, that's intercession too. So we're standing, like Abraham, contending for mercy, contending for breakthrough, contending for revival, contending for the harvest. And so we're actively engaged in strategic missions, which means it's very intentional. Soaking is something where we just kind of sit back and we disengage and we just kind of, think about Jesus, and that's soaking, right? And it can be very deep and it can be profound and it's powerful. But beyond that, there's specifics. What is God saying? What is he calling me to do? What is he calling me to proclaim? And that's where we intercede. So we stand in the gap. We pray for mercy. We pray against terrorist attacks. We pray for revival. All of those types of things. But in the end times, I'm not celebrating it. I can't imagine what it's going to be like. But scripturally, we know that the saints will be praying. Praying the seals and and the bowls, and praying, and we're praying and releasing those. And so it's a hardcore call, but we have to be engaged and we have to lock in. We can't just think that this is going to just kind of launch in any at any moment. You get worn out. You ever get into those environments where it's like, I hope revival breaks out tonight. This is the night. I feel it. This is the big one. And I learned a long time ago that I'm believing that there's going to be some big ones, but they're really kind of few and far between. So you got, there we go. And so, revival is way, I can't get to the edge of my screen, way over there. And the next revival is way over here. And in between, we've got all of this life to live, right? So in between, we pray, we grow in character, we're discipled, we stay steady, we're not distracted, we stay locked in, we intercede, these types of things. 2 Peter 3:1, this is the Message version. My dear friends, this is now the second time I've written to you. You can feel the attitude there. Both letters reminders to hold your minds in a state of undistracted attention. So this is the call. This is why we're going to be gathering together 4 nights in a row each week, and because we want to be undistracted. We want, as a group, to be in position and locked in, and going from night to night to night to night. It builds and it builds and it builds and it builds, and it just doesn't work going Sunday to Sunday. If you only go to church 1 or 2 times a week, the average is less than 2 times a month, actually. But if you're going just once or twice a week, listen, that is absolutely insufficient. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it's not about racking up the numbers of how many times you go to church. It's like a full-time job. You wouldn't be able to go to work at Apple, and everyone just goes to work 1 day a week. This is really the picture of church. Apple wouldn't survive if they just had their employees come in 1 day a week. They wouldn't survive. And that's why the church is 0 for 19,000. Because the employees, the laborers, the employees of the church are only showing up 1 day a week, if that. So we need employees of the church, which is everybody, the laborers, to show up as full-timers, to be, where the church is their full-time job. So most people have 2 full-time jobs. You got church, and really, I believe we'll be at the point where we're in church probably 20 hours a week or more. Right now, we're calling people about 10 hours a week or so. But think about that. So you've got that going on. Then you've got, most people have another full-time job, and or moms at home, which is a full-time job, right? But there's plenty of time in the day to do that. There really is. But you just have to order your life. You have to order it, and you have to cut out a lot of things that are not as important. So we don't want to stay distracted or be distracted. We must be attentive. We're called to hold our minds. We have to do it, not somebody else. We need to do this. We've got this ADD generation where people can't pay attention, and I just reject that. We need to be locked in. We need to pay attention. We need to be, steady. Acts 2:42 says, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. There's a devotion. And, so there's going to be apostolic teaching that's going up, 4 nights a week. And, there needs to be devotion, to that teaching. Here's the word devoted. Here's the Greek: to be earnest towards, to persevere, to be constantly diligent, to attend assiduously all the exercises, to adhere closely, to give oneself continually. That's what that word devoted means. And so it's a full blown devotion. Everybody is on board. So what do you think about this? Use the chat room. Shoot me an email. I never know really how many people are out there. There could be 10 million, could be 1. But I like to hear from you guys. This is one of the most difficult topics that I address, and I'm going to be teaching through this starting Sunday, March 9th, as I really kick into teaching on 20 elements of revival. The hardest thing for people is dealing with the cares of life in such a way that they can take dominion over their schedules, and instead of their schedules having dominion over them, they can actually be in charge and be locked in and be involved in the church and go strong and minister with passion and be free and develop in your giftings and in your ministries and be discipled and these types of things. It's an offensive message. Time and time again, people check out when I start talking about a radical devotion in terms of time. And this is part of the Reformation that's coming. The Reformation that's coming. This is, get my book, The Coming Church. Part of the Reformation that's coming is a reformation of time. It's the way that we are supposed to use our time. We're to connect together and go strong. I got an email from an anonymous person. Y'all chickens out there. You're nice chickens though. You can email me anonymously anytime you want. Let's see here. Do you think people are not committing to prayer because the real foundation of prayer is misunderstood? Misunderstanding that prayer is actually doing something. It seems like the lie the devil uses is that it's a waste of time and has very little impact or purpose. Then there is distraction. Soaking can seem to produce good and peaceful feelings and emotions. Prayer can do the same thing at times, but it's not the main point. Prayer is work and opens up a lot of things like warfare and burden. Lots of people do not want to agree to that, so they choose what they are willing to do, like only soaking or focusing on what makes them feel comfortable. Excellent. That's right on. You shouldn't be anonymous. You should let your name be known. That's good. That's right. Soaking feels good. And that's the issue with our generation. That's the issue with the church today, is we're involved with it because it feels good. Now, sometimes it feels great. I'm not saying that it's not supposed to feel good. I mean, God at times feels good to be connected with him. But at times it's work. Laborers, right? We're equipped to do the work of the ministry. And so intercession is work. It's hardcore work. It really, really is. And, and part of what I want to see is, people that are so, there's so many out there that are defeated and have feelings of insignificance and, and they feel like they can't do it and they feel like they're less than and they've got, insecurity issues and, and they don't feel like their prayer works, and all of that is tragic. Because then when people go to church, then it's all about playing catch up. It's like, oh God, help me, and I'm not, I'm not coming against that in terms of needing to grow, but we need to actually do it. And that's spend week after week after week after week playing catch up. We don't want to play catch up. We want to be very aggressive and get to the point where we're free. And it'll take time. Freedom, you don't just snap, something that the Spirit-filled church has just done a disservice, to people is this snap your finger, be instantly transformed kind of a thing. Sometimes that happens. I've seen it happen a lot. Most of the time, it just doesn't happen. Most of the time, it's process. Most of the time, the demons that you have and the insecurities that you have and the issues and the problems and the fears and the sins and the addictions and the habits and all of that, there's process involved. Now, do I believe that there can be dramatic testimonies of instantaneous deliverance? Yeah, of course. I see it all the time. But we don't want to discourage people by telling them that that's always the norm, and if they don't expect it, then something's wrong. It really takes process. I think we all process through things, right? Do we not? And so there needs to be grace, and there is grace in terms of process. But we have to have in our mind that, we're being held back, at least to a degree, from our destiny if we delay our process of healing and breakthrough. So we need to be diligent and aggressive in our breakthrough. It's really important that we do that. Going to church, being involved in ministry, it's really not mostly about good feelings. I challenge everybody that I have an opportunity to speak into to act like a senior leader. Act like a senior leader. I mean, literally do it. And so, for example, as a senior leader, I don't have the option to show up to church late. I don't have the option to skip church. Hardly ever. Right? I don't have the option to slack up on my prayer. I don't have the option to slack on my, studying the word. I don't have the option to slip into sin. I don't have the option to, be haphazard or casual with my ministry. Can't do it. And I challenge every single person that's involved in a church, when you wake up every day, act like a senior leader. What are the expectations of a senior leader? Because you are one. Whether you have that position in the natural or even the spirit, whether you have that position in an actual church structure, that doesn't matter. You're a senior leader, start acting like one. Right? So pray like a senior leader. Burn hot like a senior leader. Model. You can model. I mean, don't mimic, but model the diligence of a senior leader, of a hero in the faith. Model Leonard Ravenhill. Model, some of these old. I'm thinking of old timers, and Smith Wigglesworth, and Jonathan Edwards, and there's so many. Or find a modern day hero that just rocks you. And consider how they live their life. And try to go stronger and try to be more diligent. I challenge people, pray more than me, go stronger than me, burn hotter than me. You need to do that. Follow me as I follow Christ. And I dare you to try to pass me up. So you can look at me and say, follow me as I follow Christ. I mean, we need to have that camaraderie and that healthy competitive nature on us to where we're going strong after God. Why? Because souls are hanging in the balance. They really are. God's, looking for an army of people who are undistracted and standing at attention and vigilant, and they're engaged, and they're zealous, and they refuse to let life drive them, and they refuse to let fatigue keep them down. And it's critical that we find a people like this. Acts 2, chapter 2, verse 1, when the day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all with one accord and in one place. That's the goal. That's element 1 and element 2. They were all in one accord, they were unified, and they were in one place. They were not scattered, they were together. And that's what we're going to have to see that happen. They canceled life. They shut everything down. And they waited there together in that upper room, not even knowing why. Understanding they had a mission to change the world without any ability to do it. They heard about a promise. So they waited there in that upper room, not even understanding what in the world's going on. But they were undistracted. They refused to let life drive them. They declared that they were going to do it. And they did. And because of that, they turned the world upside down. What do you think? Use the chat room. No one's used the chat room yet. It's brand new. It's our very first night. I'd love to hear from you. What's going on? What do you think? What are you thinking? What's burning on your heart? Are you what do you think about revival? Do you think it's imminent? Do you think it's right around the corner? Do you think it's delayed? What are some of your thoughts? What's burning in your spirit? I would love to hear that. I hear from you. Let me go ahead and throw this up there, because this is one of the ways I pay my bills. Burton Sites. Now, I've got several different things going on. I just added 2 new services that will really help you. Most everybody needs a website. Certainly if you're in business, certainly if you're a church, you need a website. And so I can help you with a website. Also, something brand new, I don't have a slide for it yet, but I'm developing banners, web banners for $35. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, really. And so you can order web banners. Another service is it's fusionwp.com. Go there, and I'm ready to manage your website and back it up and make sure it's running the right way, and all of these kinds of things. And so your support, whether it's through donations, there's a donation button on the page there. That's always a crazy blessing. Where I'm actually able to receive support, through ministry like what you're watching right now, and so that's a blessing. And then I'm also willing to work, and I'm willing to work for the sake of revival. And so I'd love to design a website for you or a web banner. Just go to burtonsites.com/banners, and you can see that. It's a brand new page there. Or fusionwp.com. I'm ready to manage your website for you, so you don't ever have to worry about that, again. And so I'm ready to do that. So always got to throw some commercials up here. And in fact, let me go ahead and see if I can pull up these sites here for you, and you can take a look. Give me just a second. Sorry, knocked over my microphone. So this one right here is not it. I typed it wrong. I love designing websites. This is a brand new website right here. And give me just a second. I'll show it to you. When I knocked my microphone over, I knocked everything over. There we go. Okay, hang tight. And here we go. So this site right here, this is fusionwp.com. And this is where you can just turn over your website to me, and I am able to manage it for you. I back it up. I update all of your plugins. I give you premium statistics, and it's excellent service. You can check that out. And then also, it's right here, I believe. And so you can check this out, burtonsites.com/banners. And I'll design web banners for you, and that you can use in marketing campaigns and things like that. And you just order right here, piece of cake. So would love to serve you that way, guys. That's how I can keep food on the table. And did you guys know I had 5 kids? I have 5 kids, and you got it, a hungry dog that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. She sleeps down at my feet, so I just can reach down and find her. So This is the hungry dog. And she eats and eats and eats. And she plays and plays and plays. And she sleeps and sleeps and sleeps. And so she is quickly becoming a very special part of the Burton family. And if you want to say hi to Nia, you can do that in the chat. If you don't want to talk about revival and you want to just say hi to the dog, you can do that. That's okay. I'm about done talking right now. We're at the tail end. What do you think, Nia? Are we done? We all done with this broadcast tonight? I think so. Yeah. We have a trainer that's coming in a few days to start working with her. She's a very, very smart dog. So, all right. Well, I think we're done. I didn't get into a lot of content tonight. That's okay. We'll do this again tomorrow night. And we'll do it again Thursday night. And if you're local, by all means, come on out. Somebody said hi, doggy, in the chat. There you go. That's for you, Nia. Somebody said hi. You say hi? Say hi. She's biting me. Puppy biting. All right. So you got a fan. Nia has a fan. Okay, guys. I'm done. Nia's done. You guys are amazing. If you want to email me after the broadcast, do that. Email me right here. I would love to connect with you. I love it. I get emails from people all the time. It's fun. It's good. It's healthy to connect like that. And let me know, what are your challenges? What are your struggles? What are you excited about? And so you can email me there. I will email you back. And that's it. All right. Say bye, Nia. Say bye. Bye, everybody.